What other questions can I answer?
What exactly is a manager position?
So as it's outlined on your on the letter that you got, so it's a non-performing spot. So there's the opportunity for you to learn some of the things and some of the technique and get some fundamental practice, like when we're warming up as a group. But then there's also like helping get speakers set up and the tear down and set up for rehearsals on game day, helping with the meals. So you travel with the group and we travel. So your part like in preparation for the audition for next year, and then the other part is service, help with setup things, a lot of the logistical things that we have that go on. Potentially could be helping move flags around on the field, and when they change equipment and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a variety of things.
Okay.
So, and have you been in a marching band before?
No, this is my first try.
Okay, so then you'll probably learn a lot of things, even just doing like our daily warm up and that kind of stuff, just because it's a lot of new information for you. So, I think, as long as you're going to practice and try and improve on the things that were a bit of a deficit at this point, you should be able to audition next spring and then be in the group, as a performing member of the year after kind of thing. Awesome. Well, what questions can I answer for you?
I guess like how would it normally be during performances? Like I don't know like much about it. Like I saw you guys perform on D3, but I guess I want to know more about like the days.
So like a typical game day for us, like we usually show up 3 or 4 hours before the game starts. We do a warm up, then we do a run through on the blue in the stadium, and then from there, like we usually come back in. We provide lunch or dinner. It's usually dinner because we have a lot of late games. So we provide dinner, then you come back, you get your horn polished, you get dressed in uniform. Then we set up our parade block in the indoor field house. We do a quick warm up in there. Then we do like a parade around the stadium before the game. At that point, like we stop and play for fans and donors and that kind of thing. And then we enter into the stadium, and then like the actual game stuff starts. So we do our pregame performance, set up the tunnel, the team runs out. It's super exciting. Then we hop in the stands and we play a lot in the stands. I think, like Steven, you've been at the Honor Marching Band. Ainsley, have you been at the Honor Marching Band?
No, I was only a member for 2 years at my high school, so I was allowed to go.
Okay. Yeah, so that, the game environment is pretty exciting. We do a lot of playing to stay engaged in it.
A lot of standing.
Yeah, there's a lot of standing. We stand the whole game. But it's a lot of playing, and most students say it's more engaging or more exciting than high school games where they don't necessarily play a whole lot. So we try to be involved in what's going on, and the band does a lot of dancing and choreography with drum grooves and that kind of thing. So that's pretty fun. Then we do a halftime performance, and that changes from week to week. We do 3 different halftime shows typically. So that's, basically a different show, September, October, November. And then, at the end of the game, we play a game or two, and then go back into our building, which literally is like 50 yards from the stadium. So it's a super, super great setup as far as convenience. And then we do kind of a wrap-up meeting and put the uniforms away and go home. So it's usually a pretty full day. I mean, if you're not tired at the end of that day, then you haven't done your part in the stands and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's, for like an 8 o'clock game, it's usually like a call around 4 o'clock, and then we wrap up around midnight. So it's about an 8-hour day. Yeah. Shane, you play percussion, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the drum line, we'll ask you to submit videos over the summer, and we'll start kind of sliding you on instruments that we think will fit you. So, like in your letter, we didn't say, okay, yeah, you're going to play snare, or you're going to play bass drum or whatever. We just have to kind of wait and see who all is going to be here, and then make the best group that we can with the folks that are here. So you'll kind of start to get a sense of where you fit over the summer with videos that we'll ask you to submit and that kind of thing. So just be on the lookout for that. So
when would pep band auditions be?
we typically do the pep band auditions sometime in the middle or end of September. Kind of depends on the football schedule, and when we have a week or two open, we'll try and do those auditions in there. And we'll typically pull music that we're doing from a halftime so that everybody's got the same opportunity with it versus picking a stands tune that, you know, a senior has been playing for 4 years and a freshman's been playing for 4 weeks kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
you know, we'll pull excerpts from the halftime show, and, you know, the auditions are pretty quick. I mean, this year we had, you know, I think it was just over or just under 100 people in the pep bands. So it's a lot of people to audition and get through that in the middle of the semester like that. So, but yeah, we get that set up, and then we split the band up in multiple groups so that you're not having to do all the basketball games. Because in some cases there's 2 or 3 basketball games a week between the men's and the women's. So we play for both the men's and the women's basketball team. So we try to make so that it's not any more than 1 game per week for most students and that kind of thing. So, but there are additional scholarships that go with that. So for each basketball game that you get assigned, you get $30 of scholarship. So, you know, usually students are doing anywhere from 10 to 15 games. So it's not going to be earth-shattering money, but, you know, it'll pay for some books in the spring semester, that kind of thing.
Yeah, money's money, so
Yep.
can't really complain.
Yep. So
Yeah, I was just wondering about that because, like, I know you guys did do pep band, but I wasn't 100% sure how it worked. But thanks.
yeah. Hello, somebody behind Shane. Yeah, so, you know, it's not a requirement for most students. Some students that are on the out-of-state fee waiver, they have to be in the pep band. But if you're not on that, whether you're in state or out of state, the only requirement is that you go through the audition process and make it, and that you're in the marching band in the fall. Because the basketball games start before we actually start to have pep band practice. So the pep band is a class in the spring semester, and we learn different music in there. But the basketball games that happen in November and December, we just play whatever we know from the football season. So you have to be in the marching band to be in the pep band simply because we start playing games before we've had a practice. So.
Would I
So
be
the-
able to do the pep band class in the spring as well?
Say that again.
Would I be able to do the pep band class in the spring as well?
Yeah, you'd be able to, you know, as long as you audition and make it, you know, playing wise, which, you know, I don't want to expose too much of you here, but, you know, your playing was okay.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that you hadn't been in marching band was evident in how you moved. So I think you'll get a lot of that kind of picked up as we go throughout the fall.
Okay.
So, yeah. And then Sydney and Ainsley, remind me what you play, or do you
I'm
spin?
in color guard.
Oh, okay. So for both of you guys, we have like a winter guard that, you know, we're not doing like WGI stuff, but we'll try and do some exhibitions at like a basketball game or the local, you know, indoor circuit and that kind of thing. So that is a class that starts in the spring, and they meet once a week with like an optional second day a week to try and work on stuff if they have time, but it's not a requirement. So that's an opportunity for the color guard, similar to the pep band, but just like they're not playing at every game and that kind of thing. So.
And I'm assuming that can be like, I guess, because I have participated in Armada, like the local WGI team.
Right.
And so would I be able to stack that up on top of the winter class also, or is it preferred not to do both?
I think you can, you know, because like typically our indoor guard rehearsal is usually on Sunday at some point, and then they do like Wednesday night is like the optional day type thing. So I would assume that the Armada stuff is a lot of Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So
Yeah, so you'd probably be able to do that. You know, just got to make sure that you're not over committing yourself to too much and that you can't take care of classes then.
yeah.
You know, one thing we talk about a lot, throughout the year is making sure that you take care of your academics. Otherwise, if you're not in school at the university, you're not in the band and you're not in everything else that's going on. So we want you to do well academically.
So
Fingers
what
crossed
again
that doesn't
is
happen.
the
Go ahead, Steve.
what again is the dates for band camp? I can't remember for WIN players.
I don't have that off the top of my head. Let me see if I can figure that out. Calendar. It's going to be our schedule is going to be a little bit different this year because they're doing potentially an earlier move-in. Yeah, so potentially like moving in, I think sometime like around August 12th.
Okay.
But
By
that's
moving, you mean like dorm move-in day?
right. Yeah, so you move into the dorm. We do like the full band registration and that kind of stuff, and then we get started with camp and learning drill and music and all that kind of stuff. So the way the full camp stuff looks like is percussion and color guard come and they do basically 3 days of their camp. So Shane, that's where like we would set the line at that camp and you would know exactly what you're going to play at that point. And then leadership comes in the third or the second day of that, and we do a lot of leadership training, and that's for section leaders and drum majors and that kind of thing. And then the third day of that is when we do the full band registration. And then we do 5 days with everybody there, and we'll get pregame on the field with music and drill, and we'll get the first halftime on the field with music and drill. So we move pretty quick. And that's why like when we post music over the summer, it's important that you take the time to prepare that and that kind of thing. Color guard, Amy will be asking for videos of various things, and like the pregame is part of that. So you'll already know some of the pregame, and then it's fine tuning it and that kind of thing in person when everybody's there for camp and that kind of stuff. So.
Okay, so like everyone in the band will be on campus for camp, or am I misunderstanding? Like there's a registration day, but I'm not 100% sure how that's working.
Well, I mean, you come and you register basically, yes, I'm going to be in the band. I'm here. Here's all the forms that I need to sign. If you're not going to live on campus for the year, then like you would go home at night. You don't necessarily need to.
Oh, okay. So I will be living on campus, so I'll just, okay, that's kind of cool.
Okay, yeah. Then you'll move in. Usually, not always, but usually you're able to move into the room that you're going to have for the year when you start camp.
Yeah.
Obviously, trying to avoid having to move your stuff twice as much as we can. We try to do that. So.
Yeah. Because like on the website it says that move-in day is like August 20th, but I guess if I was doing Blue Thunder, then I would move in like the first day.
Yeah, then there's the earlier move-in for Blue Thunder and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, and we'll send information out about that. That usually goes out sometime in the middle of May, once we've gotten everybody's scholarship letters back and that kind of stuff, so that everybody's getting the correct information. Like I said, this year it's a little bit more of a toss-up. The university is changing things with an earlier move-in on their end, and then with the potential online or digital learning or whatever things look like, from the coronavirus scenario across the country, that could impact things. We'll just have to
kind
wait
of too early to tell.
Yeah, whatever the university is going to make that call, and we just have to fit into whatever they're going to do. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Good to know, though. I'm glad I asked that.
Yep. Yeah, and just be on the lookout via email. And I think we also try to send that, snail mail as well. But, don't go weeks on end without looking at your email and at least just opening up things that are important coming from campus, whether it's, housing, admissions, registrar's office. Like most of you will end up doing some kind of an orientation over the summer. Whether that's, I think most of those are going to be online or digital orientations this summer.
Yeah,
So
that's
you know,
what
just
they said for me.
what's that?
That's what they said for because like I signed up for the earlier orientation,
Okay,
and so that'll be virtual
yeah.
right now.
But at that point, that's when you'll meet with an advisor, uh, typically in your specific area or the major that you're looking at. You'll be able to sign up for your classes and that kind of thing. So we'll give you a permission number for the marching band. You can't just sign up for the marching band because there's an audition process. So we don't want people saying, "Oh yeah, I want to be in the marching band," and they haven't gone through the audition process.
Yeah.
Um, so you guys have all done that. You've taken care of that, and you'll get a permission number that you take to your orientation and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So
That's good to know.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff to know, and we'll send information out as things move forward. But a lot of stuff. Are you guys excited to get done with the virtual high school thing, or is it kind of disappointing not having like the regular graduation and that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
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 I don't know. It's okay, I guess. But
It's not ideal.
yeah.
I've seen some schools where they're like, having like everybody's picking up their cap and gown and all the teachers are lined up around the school and that kind of stuff. Is anybody's school doing that?
My school's
I-
kind of small, so we might actually do a graduation.
Yeah, I think next Wednesday they're doing like a pickup day where we go and get our cap and gowns like in the back of the school. I don't know if they'll do anything, but we might just pick up our cap and gowns and then that would be it. I'm not sure.
Gotcha.
I think our graduation is going to be pushed back to like June or July, but
Oh, okay.
we might have like a
What a lot
dress.
of Boise schools are doing.
So they're shooting to actually have a graduation, but just do it, a month or two later.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool. And so the green belt, which is the hiking and biking trail that goes right along campus and along the river, is great. So if you like doing that kind of stuff, if you're living on campus, some of the dorms literally like you walk out of the dorm and you're on the green belt going along the river. So it's pretty picturesque and a lot of restaurants and places to eat and do stuff downtown. So it's a pretty hip area. One of the first times that I think it was my first year here, I went running along the Greenbelt and I left the Marching Band building, went up to Capitol Boulevard, went over the bridge, came back down the other side. And I was running along and all of a sudden there was a giraffe sticking its head over the fence. And I didn't realize that the zoo was like right across the river from campus. And I was like, what in the world is a giraffe, in this park? So, there's a lot of stuff and it's close, it's convenient. It's a nice middle-sized city. Traffic isn't horrible, at least not yet, but it's going to get worse and worse with the city growing as much as it is. But
Most of the people are nice too.
yep. Yeah, most of the people. There's always some folks that you're like, what? But yeah, and it's a great city. The vibe and the outdoor, the openness, the stuff that there is too. All right, take care.
Bye.
Let me know if you have any other questions. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, there's just a lot of cool stuff to do. Like I know you can go to some universities where it's a big university, but there's nothing else around the town to do other than the university. And that's not the case here. There's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of, Broadways, shows, events that come through town because of the size of the city. So stuff in the Morrison Center, which is the main hall on campus. They usually have major Broadway shows that come through once a year, once every other year kind of thing. A lot of stuff to keep you busy and occupied if you're into doing those things, and if you have time and or the funds as a student sometimes, which is the other challenge.
So because of the virtual auditions, have the color guard, how do you know if you're in the color guard?
So for you, because of the scholarship, that you're on an out-of-state fee waiver, you're in.
Okay.
Because we can't award that significant of a scholarship and then say you're not going to make the group and then you lose a scholarship.
How are basketball games different from the football games?
So basketball games are a much shorter time commitment. You know, like a game day is like an 8-hour type thing. Basketball games, we show up an hour before the game, we warm up, then we go over to the basketball arena, and those games are like 2 hours, and then we get done. And then from like the percussion perspective, we typically have a drum set player that plays drum set throughout the game, and then somebody that plays a bass drum throughout that, so it kind of plays the groove along with the drum set player. So typically we have 3 pairs of percussionists that go along with the 3 different pep bands that we have that play. So do you play drum set?
No.
Okay, so, you know, then for that, then you would probably be looking at playing the bass drum. In some cases, you know, where we have a lot of percussionists, we only need 6 percussionists, then the requirement, instead of doing pep band, the requirement would be that you play in the spring drumline or the winter drumline class, which sometimes that's a performing group, sometimes it's just a fundamental, like, building chops, facility, technique, that kind of thing. So, and that class starts in the spring semester, same as the pep band class that we talked about earlier. I'm not sure if you were here for that part. Yeah. So, you know, we've had a lot of interest in the drumline this year. So we're looking at, you know, probably more folks than we have spots for everybody to have an individual spot. So, you know, I think we kind of indicated that in some of the letters and that kind of stuff, that, you know, there may be some kind of rotations, and, you know, we'll set the line in August based on the people that are there. But over the summer, we will be asking for videos and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
We can give you feedback on technique and that kind of stuff, so that you have time to improve over the summer versus like showing up and be like, well, no, you can't do this, you know. So we've been doing like the last 3 years, and it's been really helpful to be able to set the line faster, and then you have a pretty realistic sense going into August of where you're going to fit.
Sure.
And I think you submitted like a quad audition, right? Or was it snare?
Yeah. That was quad.
Okay. You know, so we'll be able to say like, yeah, quads looks like that's going to work, or maybe you need to be looking at a bass drum part, or, you know, whatever. We'll go from there. But,
Okay.
you know, just be on the lookout for those emails and that kind of stuff over the summer.
Yeah. So with those video assignments, are we able to audition for more than one drum? Like, could I audition snare, bass, and quads for the video assignments?
Technically, yes. But really the way we kind of look at it is we start to slot you based on how you're playing. So like if you're auditioning on snare and we kind of realize, okay, you're not going to be in the top 10 of the snare players, I say, okay, let's start looking at a bass drum part, or let's start looking at quads, or, you know, whatever the case may be. So you don't necessarily need to start the summer preparing, you know, snare and quad book, you know, stuff all at the same time.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so, you know, the color guard audition, we usually do like a camp in early April, which is when the auditions are due. But we do like a live audition for the color guard, where we teach you some routine type things, some body movements, that kind of stuff with our instructor, Amy. And then we go through that audition process. And then, you know, over the summer, we ask for members of the drumline and the color guard to submit videos throughout the summer so that we can give you feedback and that kind of stuff to help better prepare you for going into the fall and that kind of thing. So,
Okay.
You know, and for you also as a junior, typically in March, we do a couple of kind of like open sessions when the color guard has like their weekly practice. So you can come in and kind of get a jump start on some of the technique. And, you know, most folks come in with a general understanding of like how to do a drop spin and that kind of stuff. But,
Yeah.
you know, the specific technique that we're looking for and how to do that, so you have a little bit more time to process and that kind of stuff is usually helpful for folks.
Okay.
And then, you know, in the fall, we send out an email to all the local band directors, and they can nominate students for the honor marching band thing that we do usually in November. And I think we've had Skyview students doing that as well. So, checking with Miss Crawl, that would be a good thing. Say, hey, I want to do the honor marching band. We send that stuff out over the summer or in August, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, I've got another one. So James Harrison was the percussion dude like 2 years ago, and then it was Daniel Allen. Who's gonna be it this year?
We're not sure yet. Like with the graduate students, Daniel was a graduate student last year, so we have to kind of wait and see how things go with budgets and that kind of stuff with graduate students.
Mhm.
If we don't have a graduate student come in, it'll probably be kind of like section leaders doing it. As well as myself. I'm a percussionist. I marched Carolina Crown. I played quads. So I've got a pretty strong percussion background. And our assistant director, Bill, also has a decent percussion background. He's a tuba player, but he played in the drum line at the University of Kansas when he was in college, just so he had a better background. So
Yeah.
between the two of us and section leaders, we'll make sure that we have stuff covered.
Okay.
So, yeah. Other questions from anybody?
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
I'm thinking about going to Boise in the fall of 2021, and I was just wondering about what are some of the commitments with drumline and things like that.
So for the drumline, so the audition process happens typically early in April. And in the chat, if you go to that boisestate.edu/thunder and click on audition, there's a tab in there that says audition. You can take a look at all that stuff. The audition process doesn't really change from year to year. Some of the dates will change by a couple of days based on the calendar, but that will give you a pretty good idea of what the audition process looks like, all that stuff. And then, over the summer, we ask for some videos so that we can give you feedback on technique or facility or, how you're playing stuff. And then there's like a 3-day drum camp, and that's where we actually set the line. And that's usually like about 10 days before school starts.
Okay.
And then there's the full band camp where the whole band is there and we put pregame on the field with music and drill. We put the first halftime show on the field with music and drill. Then during the school year, we practice 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 12 to 2 o'clock in the middle of the day. And then each section does like a 45-minute sectional once a week. And that is just set up by the individual section leaders whenever it works for the section. And then we do like all the home games. We typically travel to one away game with the full band. We do an exhibition in Albertson Stadium on the blue turf for the District 3 High School Marching Band Championships, which is the local championships. We do a bowl game usually. That's in December, and we just have to wait until December to find out what's going to go on or when that bowl game is going to be and that kind of stuff based on how the team has done that year and that kind of thing. There's really, really minimal financial commitment to be in the marching band. Most students are on a scholarship. We provide all the instruments, so for the drum line, we provide the drums, we're providing the heads, the sticks.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a hat and a polo and a dry fit and, usually some swag and that kind of stuff throughout the year. So, different than most high school programs where you have to write a check to be in the band and participation fees and that kind of stuff. Operates a little bit different for us, which is a positive thing.
Also, is there any kind of winter drumline program or spring sort of thing?
Yeah, so it depends on the year. We have a group that we call the Winter Drumline. Sometimes it's a performing group that will play at a couple of basketball games or something. Sometimes it's just a fundamental, building chops facility. If you played bass drum your first year and you want to try and play quads, then you have the ability to get some practice and information feedback from directors and that kind of stuff on improvement there. So we've done it both ways, where it's been a performance group and it's been a fundamental and technique type class. So just kind of depends on the year and the interest. We obviously have to have enough interest and folks that want to do it to make it a performing group. We don't want to go out 2 snares and a quad and 4 basses or something like that.
Is it possible that that BSU's indoor program might eventually become like a competing one with Armada in the TVIA stuff?
Not really. At least not the way we're set up now. We don't have funding to start doing the travel and the entry fees and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And the performance side of it, we try to make it entertaining and fun. When we do a performance aspect, and there's a couple guys that are in the drum line that have done the Armada to do the competitive side, or they've gone to other outdoor or indoor groups.
Yeah.
But we're not really set up with staff to do that. The staff that we don't have time to put that kind of a show together and that kind of stuff without hiring staff and that kind of thing, which we're just not in a place to do that funding wise.
Okay.
I guess how late does the marching season go into like this semester?
It goes pretty much until the very end. We typically have the last football game is either the week before, or the week after Thanksgiving. And then because the football team is typically pretty good, we've been in the championship game for the Mountain West Conference, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 times maybe. And that's usually the first weekend in December. So we go up to then, and then we kind of take a 2-week hiatus, and students are doing final exams and stuff. And then we have the bowl game sometime in the middle of December or end of December, early January, if it's one of the bigger bowl games.
And then also, if you do marching band, are you required to take some other form of band class like concert or jazz or anything like that?
No. Some of the waiver scholarships for out-of-state students require that you're in the pep band, or like in this case, you would be in the spring drum class. But no, it's not tied to being like a music major or playing in the jazz ensemble or anything like that. A lot of the students do. We have students that are in the marching band that are playing in symphonic winds, playing in the jazz ensemble, playing the orchestra. So they're busy with all that.
If there's a good drum part.
So there's not a requirement with that, but a lot of students do play in multiple ensembles. They just got to make sure they have time in their schedule.
Yeah.
So. Oh, yeah, there's another question?
I had a question about the pep band for like basketball games and stuff. So for pep band, you guys do drum kit instead of the drum line, right?
Yeah, we do like one drum set player and one person that plays a bass drum simultaneously. So we typically have 2 drummers in each pep band.
Okay. How would you audition for that?
So the auditions for the pep band happen in September usually. And then, we'll ask you to play a couple of different styles on a drum set. Can you play a rock beat? Can you play a swing beat? Can you play some kind of a funk or some kind of a Latin groove, that kind of thing? And those are the 4 main styles that we would ever play.
All right.
So do you play drum set?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's something that is good. And like I said, we typically have like 3 different pep bands. So we're looking typically to have at least 3 drum set players and 3, bass drummers. If we have 5 or 6 drum set players, then we'll have 2 drum set players in each group, and they just swap back and forth between playing drum set and playing bass drum, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
For pep band, for anybody that's in the pep band, you audition. You have to be in the marching band to be in the pep band. Because we start doing games in November and December before we've even had a practice. At that point, we're just playing the songs that we know from the football book. So with that process, you audition, and then whatever games you get assigned, most students get assigned like 10 or 15 games. Then you get like $30 a game scholarship in the spring semester for that. So it's not earth-shattering money, but maybe $300 or $400 that'll help pay for some books or part of your meal plan, or whatever that would cover, but it's a couple of bucks and for the time. And then there's a class that goes along with the pep band, and that's when we learn different music that we don't learn in the fall for football.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty fun experience. And then there's the opportunity to travel. It's a kind of a competitive process to travel. Because the NCAA only allows us to take 29 people plus a director. So, this year we had like almost 100 people in the pep bands. So, it's more competitive to get on the travel roster than most other things, but it's based on how well you play and how many games you go to and a point system with that, and then a little bit on seniority. So if it comes down to the wire, if it's between a sophomore or a senior that have the same number of points, the senior would get the seniority bump on that since they're graduating, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
How many of like each instrument or battery instrument is in drumline, or like what is it made up of?
It's relatively consistent, but anywhere from 7 to 9 snares, 4 or 5 quads, 6 bass drums, and anywhere from 6 to 10 cymbals. Just kind of depends on the year.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a pretty full drum line, what you would see with a typical college band or drum corps, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we actually register for the class in August, or?
So for you, since you've done the non-degree seeking, I think that you sign up for that in August. I think it's later.
Okay.
Students that are regular, like full-time degree seeking students, they'll do orientations and stuff over the summer and do that. But just make sure that you touch base with our office so that we make sure that we get you on the track for that non-degree seeking so you can sign up for the class and all that stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah. And we'll be sending information out probably in May if you don't hear from us by the end of May with permission numbers and information about camp and schedules and all that kind of stuff. Make sure you're checking your email, and if you don't get something, then let us know. We may have your email wrong, or we're communicating on different wavelengths or something. So thanks for joining us, and if you have questions, just let us know. We'll get back to you as soon as we can.